Welcome to this week in the world of wrestling.
Welcome to TWitWoW, the best wrestling podcast made for wrestling fans, by wrestling fans, on the web today. I'm John, that's my cohort in commentary, Ashton, and this is our live Smackdown / WWE Draft 2016 review. And I gotta say, folks, I want to be optimistic, but it seemed like the draft started out so good. I was even remarking on live reactions, great pacing, great picks, a lot of intrigue with the NXT picks. But man, it's like a plane that's way high up in the air, and then you hear something, that sputtering sound, and it's just slowly nosediving down to the ground in that open barn with all the innocent farm animals. It is brutal.
Who's transporting farm animals via plane?
Well, no, I'm saying it's heading into a barn filled with farm animals, so it's like a massacre. It's, oh my god, and you were so happy, but you've become a modern-day Icarus because you flew too close to the sun. It's just, I don't know what happened, guys. It had all the momentum to start, and it ended with me only caring. I mean, when we're talking about the network special, which I'm sure we'll unpack that, there were only maybe 2, maybe 3 picks I cared about at most. But if you thought I didn't like it, let me field it over to this guy. Ashton, what do you think of the draft?
Who's got 2 thumbs and is more disappointed in this draft than any other bit of WWE programming in the last decade? This guy.
He literally said to me, folks, before we went on the air, I can't wait to unload. That was what he was looking forward to. So, Ashton, I really feel like I'm going to give you the majority of talking space for this particular episode because you just did not seem to like this draft at all, brother. What exactly, seeing as how Brian is SmackDown GM, got your goat about this draft, so to speak?
What I think I've been really kind of trying to sort of digest everything that went down. And I think the encompassing thing that I really find the biggest issue with is that it felt like neither one of these entities had any kind of plan in place. It doesn't feel like either one of these shows has any degree of actual comprehension to it whatsoever. It just feels like they listed their favorite people on the rosters and picked them in order.
Ashton, and again, I don't want to talk too much, because I definitely want to get into your thoughts, because you really just seem to dislike this draft, but I have to bring up a point a friend of mine, James, made that I thought was an amazing point. By the way, James, enjoy your second shout-out within 24 hours. You've been on a roll lately. He just didn't understand. It seemed like Raw got everything to him, and I know he wasn't the only one to share that sentiment, but specifically for James, he's like, Raw gets the Cruiserweight division, and, I mean, in essence, they got the women's division because they have the women's champion. Now, I don't really know how that's going to work. Maybe they'll volley that back and forth between Raw and SmackDown. I fully expect that to happen. But it really did seem like Raw was very heavy-handed in this draft. It got everything, and what does SmackDown even have now? Feels so lopsided to me.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I feel like this is technically a TWitWoW, so we would normally do Heat of the Night, but there are so many Heats of the Night, I think we should just skip that segment entirely and just talk about this in general.
That's what I wanted to do with you. I know we're calling it TWitWoW, but to me, this is almost kind of TWitWoW in name only, because it is a lengthier discussion. But I just think you and I are just going to keep, volleying back and forth. I mean, where do you even want to start? I mean, how do you want to go about this?
Okay. Let's start on what, in my opinion, was the biggest travesty.
Okay.
That being the 6 NXT names that got called up.
Oh, my God. You go first.
Because Finn Balor and American Alpha are awesome.
Yes.
And it makes all the sense in the world that they would get called up. But your final 4 NXT names, Nia Jax, Alexa Bliss, Mojo Rawley, and Carmella on the brand opposite Enzo and Cass.
Need we say anything else?
Meanwhile, NXT still has Samoa Joe, still has Shinsuke Nakamura, still has Hideo Itami, still has the best commentary team going right now, mostly because of Corey Graves, still has Bayley, still just feels It legitimately, like, I thought that this was going to be a changing of the guard. We were going to get 10 to 12 NXT call-ups, and it was going to be big names, and NXT was going to have to really reload. NXT still has the perfect 10, Ty Dillinger. NXT doesn't need to reload. If anything, NXT looks stronger now than they did a week ago today, and they just lost 6 talents. But they've trimmed fat. They don't have Nia Jax or Mojo Rawley anymore.
I mean, not to cut you off, brother, but like, to me, you just mentioned Nia Jax and Mojo Rawley, right? How do they get the call up before Ty Dillinger even?
How do they get okay, look, I understand marketability, but name one person in the WWE that could sell more t-shirts on the main roster than Bayley.
I don't understand it, dude.
Name one male in the WWE that could sell more t-shirts than the King of Strong Style, Shinsuke Nakamura.
I don't know if I could.
Literally this morning, Shinsuke Nakamura on Twitter was retweeting a bunch of parents who were posting videos on Twitter of their kids marking out to Nakamura's theme song and doing Nakamura's hand gestures along with the theme song.
That's amazing.
This dude is money, and you're leaving him in your developmental, in hard quotes, territory.
And can I say, and I already told this to Ash, and I prefaced it by saying not to be a Johnny scumbag, though I think that's just pretty much me at this point. I feel the worst for Bayley, and I've been saying that forever now.
Well, and dude, even if she would get called up, she wouldn't be able to be with more than 2 of her girls, her 4 horsewomen girls on either brand, because they got split up even further, with Sasha and Charlotte being on Raw and Becky being on SmackDown, with basically nobody. I'm not even joking when I tell you, I think there are 4 women on SmackDown.
And bro, here's the thing. You're not even wrong about anything you just said, but here's what it comes down to. 2 is still better than 0. Bayley has got squat down there now.
No.
Because Carmella, who was her best friend.
that too, yeah.
Yeah, her best friend now on SmackDown. And Bayley, who...
And she got called up before Bayley.
I don't Look, first of all...
She didn't even get called... Like, if she would have been called up to be Enzo and Cass's valet, I would have, like, completely understood that. That gets a pass. I get it. You don't need... there's nothing really impactful about her being called up before Bayley when she's only being called up to be a valet. But she got called up on the brand opposite Enzo and Cass.
I don't understand any of it, dude. Like, I'm not even a Bayley mark, and I think people...
Would you like for me to list you the women's roster on SmackDown right now?
Do it.
Becky Lynch, Natalya, Naomi, Alexa Bliss, Eva Marie, and Carmella. That's the entire SmackDown women's roster.
And see, can I pump the brakes for just a second and ask you a question?
Before you do, can I point something out?
Yes.
We might get that long honky-tonk man-esque Eva Marie run that you were calling for in our draft video based on this roster.
I don't know if I'm happy about that.
She is the only legitimate heel on this entire roster.
Oh my god.
Natalya is the best heel not named Eva Marie. And she's clearly at the end of her career. She never should have had one in the first place.
Now, I just want to pump the brakes for just a second, and I want to ask you something.
Okay.
Because when I look at both these drafts, now I'm going to ask you, because I know it's hard, because it's hard for me. I don't want either one of us to give a salty answer to this question.
Oh, God.
What even defines SmackDown with this draft? Because you can't
Chaos.
say that they have a strong... They have what? Chaos?
Entropy.
Okay. Because
this is what I was saying earlier. There is no theme. SmackDown has no identity whatsoever.
That is so bad, though. Because
SmackDown has a combination of, new up-and-comers with Dean Ambrose and Baron Corbin and Bray Wyatt and American Alpha and Dolph Ziggler. But they also have the old guard. They have AJ Styles. They have John Cena. They have Randy Orton. They have, I guess, Dolph Ziggler fits in that too. They have Alberto Del Rio. They have Demon Kane. They have a lot of the old guard. And they also have a weird combination of smaller guys and big guys. They have, as far as smaller guys goes, and that's another thing too. Raw, you would think Raw would have been really targeting small guys because cruiserweight division, right?
Right.
I went through Raw's roster and I put a check mark next to everyone that could potentially be in the cruiserweight division. I don't think there's more than like 10 guys.
That's not really much of a division.
Seth Rollins maybe, but I think he's bulked up to the point that he's not even a cruiserweight anymore.
Right.
So you know what? Let's just cross him out because he's not a freaking cruiserweight anymore. There's no way. He's got to be at least 215 at this point, if not 220 plus. I mean, if Ty Dillinger's 223, there's no way Rollins is lighter than that, right?
Right, definitely.
Okay, so then the cruiserweight division would probably be headed up by Finn Balor, right?
Right.
Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston are both on Raw. They both might be considered cruiserweights.
Right.
So we're up to 3. Sami Zayn, Enzo Amore, Neville, Sin Cara. That is it. 7 people. You're going to start a division with 7 people. I mean, I guess it's better than SmackDown's women's division with 6.
I guess. I mean, here's the thing.
And let's look at, you know what, before you say that, let's look at Raw's women's division. Right. Sasha Banks. We already know about her. Sasha Banks. Right. Charlotte was actually the first woman drafted. Nia Jax. Paige. Summer Rae. Alicia Fox, and Dana Brooke. So they have 7 women.
Right. You know, to answer my own question that I posed to you a few moments ago, like what defines SmackDown, the loosest claim that they have to me would be tag teams, because they have American Alpha, they have the Vaudevillains, I think they have the Ascension, and they have one other team that's not coming to my mind right now, I think. The Usos. Yeah, the Usos.
And Breezango. They have Breezango as well.
And Breezango. So I think SmackDown...
So they have 5 tag teams. Now let's look at Raw. The New Day.
Right.
Enzo and Cass.
Okay.
The Club.
Right.
Golden Truth.
The
Dudley Boys.
Shining Stars.
And they also have Bo Dallas and Curtis Axel, who will probably stay a team.
So even Raw even beats them in tag. SmackDown really has no identity.
SmackDown has literally no identity.
That is a huge problem.
SmackDown's identity is Shane McMahon and Daniel Bryan. Like, that's it. They have to build the show around the authority figures, which is exactly what we were hoping they would avoid.
Exactly, because that was precisely the problem we felt like with Raw forever.
Yeah,
and now SmackDown.
And Raw might actually have an opportunity to build around the talents rather than building around the authority figures, which is actually in a promo on the network. That's what Cesaro said he wanted them to do.
Oh, yeah. Cesaro gave a great network promo that I thoroughly enjoyed.
He is on Raw, so you never know.
And speaking of great things, let's try and find a silver lining for a second. What draft prospects on both shows were you really excited about? I mean, were there any?
I don't want to say that there weren't any, because obviously there are individual talents that I'm excited about, but it's hard to get excited for any individual person going to either of these brands because of the lack of identity on both brands.
Yeah.
Like, how can I get excited for someone going to SmackDown when I don't feel like SmackDown is going to be a good show overall?
SmackDown looks like it's going to be awful, guys, and you know we're going to be covering it, but like...
I mean...
Yeah.
Okay, so from what I understand, there's going to be a tournament on both of these shows to determine their show champion, right?
Right.
And on Raw, the finals are going to be Reigns Rollins, and on SmackDown, the finals are going to be Styles Cena.
Right.
So I'm guessing that means that Styles is going to beat Ambrose in the semis.
Right.
And it probably means that Cena is going to beat Bray Wyatt or Baron Corbin or someone else like that in the semis.
Oh, my God.
But AJ is going to win.
Yeah.
So AJ is going to be the face of SmackDown.
Right, which should be very interesting.
Well, it would be if he had any decent heels other than Bray Wyatt to challenge him. Are we seriously going to start? Or actually, no. You know what? That's me. I threw my hands up in the air because I did a stupid thing there. AJ is a heel.
Right.
So basically, we're going to get months of Ambrose trying to get it off of him, Cena trying to get it off of him, and that's about it. Because there are no other main event babyfaces on SmackDown.
Yeah.
The main eventers on SmackDown are, and I'm going to just list them, and only list them if they're actually established as main eventers right now. There are 5 of them.
Right.
Dean Ambrose, AJ Styles, John Cena, Randy Orton, Bray Wyatt, and that's it.
Right.
Those are the main event talents on SmackDown right now.
Which I will say, if I could just interject for a second, that's what I'm most excited about for SmackDown, honestly, is Bray Wyatt maybe finally getting that big singles run. And if you're a big Bray Wyatt fan, I'd be very curious to know what Bray Wyatt fans feel about him being on SmackDown. And the only other Wyatt family member, if I'm not mistaken, Ashton, with him is Eric Rowan.
Yeah, Rowan got drafted, which, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, God, I miss Luke Harper. I guess injured people, they were just told to fuck off because Emma and Luke Harper weren't even in the conversation. But yeah, I mean,
Neville was in the conversation though. He got drafted. Neville got drafted to Raw.
maybe has he been working house shows or anything recently? Though?
Yes,
Because maybe
yes, he has been.
well then, yeah, maybe that explains it. I don't know. Yeah, I really don't know. Like, here's the funny thing with SmackDown, right? And I'm not even kidding. Like, the idea that they have no identity, which you're 100% right about. And again, you could make the same argument for Raw, but at least Raw has a more stacked roster, I think, to compensate. SmackDown, what it leaves me with is kind of a morbid curiosity. Like, what do you do with your main event scene? Because obviously you have the 5 guys that you could kind of rotate it around, but you're going to need fresh meat sooner or later. And I'd like to think you'd build up Baron Corbin. I even said on live reactions when Baron got drafted, I'm like, that's good for him. Apollo Crews the same way, by the way. Apollo Crews is on SmackDown. He may be able to step up. But, like, what are you going to do? What is going to define you? Because Raw has cruiserweights. And even though they're off to a bad start, the Cruiserweight Classic in the aftermath, that's going to probably bulk them up big time.
Yeah.
They have the women because women will just go everywhere. So I guess SmackDown by proxy also benefits from that, to be fair. You could probably make the same argument for tag teams, but like...
Wait, what do you mean they have the... Dude, Raw has more women than SmackDown.
Raw has more women than SmackDown, but that Charlotte's probably going to be able to go on both shows, I'd imagine. I don't think SmackDown's going to have its own women's championship, so...
I mean, we might... I don't know, man. We don't know.
Right. I'm just wondering,
that's a tough call to make.
What's going to be unique to SmackDown is ultimately my question. Because... there should be a grab like, oh, remember how they used to say, I remember this a lot because they never shut up about it. In the Ruthless Aggression era, SmackDown did it a lot because I think they felt the need to, where they were like, oh, these superstars or this division is only exclusive to SmackDown. Yeah. Like, you need that exclusivity to me. So where is it?
Because it doesn't exist. It does not exist.
And that's a problem. That is a huge problem to me. I mean, Ashton, any other thoughts yet? Because I know you hated this, dude. So, like, what else really bothered you about this?
The reason for watching SmackDown is going to be specific individual performers that you're too much of a fan of to not watch.
Which I'm the sucker because I love American Alpha.
American Alpha, exactly. For you, it's going to be them. For me, it's going to be some weird combination of them and Bray Wyatt and Becky Lynch.
Right.
And Randy Orton, because I freaking love Randy Orton.
Oh, he's so good. Yeah. It's funny, too, because...
Apollo Crews is on SmackDown. Zack Ryder's on SmackDown. It seems like SmackDown doesn't give a single shit about their own identity, and they were just kind of playing the role of investor and trying to build up capital by buying individuals with large fan bases.
And can I say, too, one talking point that I'd like to reiterate that I know you and I kind of touched upon early on in live reactions tonight. I think Cena... is a good fit for SmackDown only because, and to me, him being on SmackDown does confirm that he's taking on, it's felt like that for a while anyway, a more part-time schedule doing all these other outside projects, because now whenever he comes in, it's a good ratings boost for SmackDown, plus it has kind of a full circle feel. He started his career on SmackDown, he may be ending it there as well, and he was kind of balancing out the Raw picks of Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar, and so that's pretty crazy. So I think that kind of works out. Kevin Owens on Raw, Sami Zayn on Raw, which I will say, and this isn't even about like me being a huge Kevin Owens mark and wanting him to stake his claim on SmackDown, though that's certainly true. I'm not going to deny it.
Right.
I was just really looking forward to both him and Sami doing different things, because I may not be a big Sami Zayn fan to say the least, but you have one hell of a babyface on your hands. I was looking forward to seeing him work with other heels. And now, like, to me, that also takes a little bit of the steam, at least in my opinion, out of their Battleground match, because now I'm convinced they're going to do another match at SummerSlam, which is fine, but you went out of your way to give them this big highlight reel segment, and Sammy did a screen-and-screen promo. Well, this might be the last time we do it.
And now it's definitely not going to be.
It's like Cena Rock all over again. Why are you people jerking me all the time? Like, I don't mind honesty, really. Even if I don't like how it tastes, I'll take that over being falsely promoted, too. So...
I think let me just throw this out there. Just in an imaginary world where SmackDown gets a cruiserweight division, which I know it's not going to happen, but just for the sake of argument, if they would be able to do cruiserweights, their cruiserweight roster would consist of AJ Styles,
right,
Chad Gable.
That right.
I'm trying to figure out. I don't think the Usos would be cruiserweights because they're kind of bigger.
Right.
They're probably in like the 220s, maybe even 230s.
Yeah.
If I had to guess for the Usos, I'd say they're in like 220s. Kalisto, so that's 3 people. It's AJ, Chad Gable, Kalisto. I think that's it.
Yeah.
I seriously think that's it.
Although, again, I just want to be devil's advocate for a second. Like, you're not wrong on either roster, but I think in a post-Cruiserweight Classic world, I'll be far more optimistic about the Cruiserweight division.
But
like,
the thing
that's what I'm
is,
waiting
again, though, like my whole point there was just to show how few smaller guys SmackDown got.
Right.
Like,
I see what you're saying.
it's so odd that the Authority representative, Stephanie McMahon, was drafting for Raw, and yet they got 7 cruiserweights while SmackDown got 3.
Yeah.
That's
Man.
crazy to me.
Yeah. I don't know, dude.
Like,
I mean,
SmackDown, man, this is like the least comprehensive draft I've ever seen.
yeah, I mean, and
If somebody would have put this exact draft out as a fantasy draft or a mock draft last week or within the last few months between us finding out that the draft was going to happen and this actually happening, I would have made fun of them for how dumb this is.
And then our reaction would have been, well, shit, I guess they knew more than we did, apparently, because this happened, And, like, another positive note, I'm just going all over the place trying to pick out any goddamn positive in this heap of garbage, but if you're a Finn Balor fan, I mean, Balor Club, he's on the same show as Anderson and Gallows.
Yeah, but I doubt that happens anytime soon. If it does happen, it'll be really far in the future.
Yeah, I have to agree with you there because you know what? I think they're going to want to let Finn breathe on his own first.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I think if I'm a Finn Balor fan, the biggest takeaway that I've got is that he got drafted 5th overall, which tells me that he's either going to be literally the face of the Cruiserweight division or get a main event push very early on in his career.
I don't know which would I prefer because I wouldn't want Finn to burn out too quickly, but like it's Finn Balor. So I don't really know how we use him going forward. That is one thing that I look forward to, at least on the TWitWoW front. All the discussions we'll be having in a post-draft WWE world after these programs end.
Dude, it's so crazy because, like, I'm sorry. No, you go and then I'll say what I was going to say.
No, I'm just to wrap it up because I want to hear all of your thoughts, dude. Just, who's going to rise, who's going to sink, especially on SmackDown. I can't emphasize that enough. Like, SmackDown to me, and I mean that as both an insult and just kind of articulating my curiosity, it just seems like this stitched together, horrid-looking Frankenstein of a beast. Like, I don't even know how to describe SmackDown with the roster it has. Like, I know your main event guys, obviously. You just listed them off earlier. But, like, who's your upper mid-card? Who has that chance to ascend?
Dude, like, that's the ugly part right there. Because their upper mid-card guys are all guys that we've seen enough of.
Right.
Like, Dolph Ziggler, Alberto Del Rio, Demon Kane, Zack Ryder, like it is Eric Rowan, like it is bad.
Oh my god, dude, what were you gonna say? I apologize. I felt like you had a point you wanted to make.
I did, but I forget it.
Oh, I apologize.
This is why I interrupt.
No, that's fine. That's on me. I apologize, but
I think it had something to do with Balor.
Yeah, because we're talking about, like, is he going to be the face of the Cruiserweight division? He's going to go to the main event right away.
I don't remember what I was going to say.
Yeah, I mean, well, welcome to the main roster, Finn Balor. And to be fair, too, not only was he 5th overall, at least he's a part of the more stacked roster to me in terms of names and everything that he'll get to work with. I mean, he'll get to work. It's
weird, though, because, like, SmackDown, the roster feels really, like, they need to bulk it up a little bit.
Yeah.
I feel like even adding somebody as simple as Ty Dillinger would make the SmackDown roster look so much better right now.
How did he not get drafted and Mojo Rawley did?
Like, at this point, I'm tuning into SmackDown exclusively because of American Alpha.
Yeah, me too. Me too. And, like, we both love those guys, which is awesome, by the way. And you guys know what a mark I am for those two, because that's like my childhood package in a glorious present-day form. But yeah, like, and Bray, like, yeah.
The crazy thing too is, like, you and I, we've been talking about, because Angry Mark said that Rusev would be getting into a feud with Kurt Angle as soon as Kurt Angle showed up, which is going to be this coming Monday.
Right.
And we were both excited because we thought it was going to be on SmackDown. Rusev is on Raw.
Yeah.
So that means Kurt Angle is going to be on Raw.
Oh my god.
SmackDown got shafted so hard.
They did. And, like, here's the shocking thing, because I know, Ash, and I'm sure you know it too, there's probably going to be one or two commentators or analysts or whatever you want to call them that are pretty much going to look at us like, what were you going to say?
And it's funny, too, because Raw, I feel like not only did they get the more impressive roster, but they also got the roster that's going to allow their writers to stay the laziest.
Yeah! Like
they got Rollins and Reigns. They got Balor and the Balor Club. They got Brock Lesnar, who you literally need zero talent to write and make interesting. They got Zayn and Owens. They got Titus O'Neil and Darren Young, so if they ever want to reunite those guys, they can. Like, the Raw roster is like easy mode if you're playing a booking game.
Right.
It's so easy.
Yeah, and SmackDown is on impossible difficulty.
It is. Me. Yeah, exactly.
And, like, I forget the point I was going to make now, but, like, it's just crazy to me. You look at... Oh, I remember what I was going to say. That's right. Because SmackDown got so shafted, you may have these analysts and stuff that may look at guys like us, and they may ask sincerely, well, what did you think was going to happen? Well, I'll tell you. Like, you made such a big deal about SmackDown going live. It's like, oh yeah, SmackDown's going live, and you've got this big grin on your face. All the while, you're loading up the gun. And then you shoot them in the kneecaps, and you're like, all right, ready, set, go. And SmackDown's screaming in pain, and Raw's sprinting like Usain freaking Bolt. Jesus Christ, like... Why should I care about them going live? What, so you can see all the embarrassing gaffes you make with this lackluster roster?
Yeah,
and
I mean, we're gonna cover SmackDowns up to SummerSlam, and then we're taking a break from the main roster completely, starting after the Raw after SummerSlam, up until I would say the Royal Rumble, probably.
I mean, Ashton, I gotta ask you, because you're... to me, like, you're like the surge in general here. Like, you've done like the big fantasy bookings and this and that between the two of us. Can you make SmackDown with this roster a compelling show? Like, can you make it work?
Dude, I think that the secret to making SmackDown compelling is pushing Bray Wyatt, and I don't think they're going to. Because to me, Bray Wyatt is hands down the best thing that they've got going for them as far as singles go.
Right.
And they just... for whatever reason, they just refuse to give Wyatt anything, ever.
And I don't know why.
Because to me, like, Dean Ambrose is good and entertaining, but he also feels like that, like, milquetoast, vanilla, generic. Like, yeah, he's good, but he gets, like, that 75% pop. He never gets the full-blown, like, Daniel Bryan pop kind of face.
Right.
And AJ Styles is kind of the exact same thing, but as a heel.
Right.
Because people want to cheer AJ Styles.
Right.
And then you've got John Cena, but now he doesn't really have anyone to keep him entertaining because Enzo and Cass are on Raw.
Exactly.
And then you've got Randy Orton, but his SummerSlam opponent Brock Lesnar is on Raw.
Right.
And then you get Bray Wyatt, and it's like, he doesn't have Strowman anymore, but he has Rowan. To me, the only logical thing to do, knowing that that is basically your entire main event scene, is push Wyatt to the moon.
Right.
Make Bray... like, there are so many quotes and reports that say that Vince McMahon sees Bray Wyatt as literally the Undertaker right now, and that he can beat him because he's got that kind of credibility, but he's not there yet. He needs to get there.
Right.
And the only way he's going to get there is with a full green light, rocket up the ass push. And this right here, this freaking barren wasteland of a roster needs Bray Wyatt.
Yeah, maybe that could even be part of the character. Just be like, you guys need me or whatever. And, you know, it's funny because with this whole idea of Raw and SmackDown being so competitive and Vince being like, you know, I want these two brands to go to war. Well, if this is a war, then Raw is the fully militarized outfit, right? Like all the latest technology, the tanks and everything.
If this is a war, Raw is backed by the U.S. government.
Exactly, like
and
they've got
SmackDown is like independent.
Yeah, no, see, Raw is like the fully militarized tanks, you know, bazookas, like all that shit, and SmackDown's the ragtag group of insurgents that maybe know guerrilla warfare, and that's it.
Yeah,
like
it's the story of the 300 Spartans where the Spartans had been training their entire lives, and even though they were outnumbered by the Persians were only basic civilians who were just kind of given a shield and a spear and asked to go to war. Except in this case, Raw is still the Spartans, but they're not even outnumbered.
Exactly. Jesus. I don't even know how to feel for the SmackDown writers, because part of me wants to be like, I feel so bad for you, but maybe they relish a challenge.
And the thing
maybe
is, like, if you look at the SmackDown roster, okay, when we think about like individual divisions, let's just break it down like that. You've got the heavyweight division. You've got Ambrose, Styles, Cena, Orton, and Wyatt. I don't think Wyatt is going to do anything. So I'm guessing your first two feuds coming out of that are going to be Styles, Cena, and Ambrose, Orton, with Orton being the heel in that feud.
Right.
Once that they're probably going to drag that out to Survivor Series.
Probably.
Those two feuds. And Cena Styles has already been going on for over a month.
Right.
So that's going to get boring.
Yeah.
So then you look for refuge in the mid-card, right?
Right.
The mid-card, you've got The Miz, which is great. But then the only babyface on the SmackDown roster that's going to try and challenge The Miz is pretty much Zack Ryder.
Yeah, Zack Ryder, or
maybe Kalisto.
Or it keeps my pick in place.
Crews?
Apollo Crews. Yeah, that's been my pick forever. You know that. They're on the same show.
Yeah, they are.
I might actually be right about something for once.
Yeah, but are you excited about it?
This may be the one time I'm not. That's so sad. I get it so little, and yet the one time I do get it, I don't even want it now.
And the worst part is this actually opens them up to continue Corbin Ziggler, which nobody wants.
Right. Oh,
so,
man.
Because we're already bored with the mid-card, let's look at the women, right?
Okay.
You've got Becky Lynch. That's awesome. Who's going to be her foil?
Natalya, probably.
For a few months, probably, yeah. But who's going to be Becky's foil after she overcomes Natalya?
Oh, God, don't tell me Eva Marie.
Well, you've got options, because you've got a couple of female heels. You've got Naomi, who is a heel.
Right.
You've got Bliss, who is a heel. And you've got Eva Marie.
Right. Shit.
Those are your heel options for Becky.
Right.
Or Carmella. Carmella's a face too, but she's got to face someone.
Right. I don't know what you do. I don't know what you do.
Okay. Well, clearly the females aren't working out. So let's talk about tag teams.
I like it. Can I just say, I love how optimistic you almost sound when you're introducing each division, and then you just see, no, it's just a shit show. Like,
tag teams. Okay, let's start this off. We've got American Alpha.
Yeah.
Okay, now who are going to be American Alpha's foils?
Yeah, who are going to be the Usos? Maybe.
Aren't the Usos face?
Yeah, but maybe they'll do like a competitive kind of storyline, even if it is face versus face, like number one contendership or something like that.
Do you know let me list off the tag teams that are left.
Okay.
The Ascension.
Right.
The Hype Bros.
Oh my God.
Breezango.
Yes.
And the Vaudevillains.
Okay, well, honestly, in my mind, obviously push the fuck out of American Alpha.
But how do you push them without foils?
Breezango and American Alpha could be an interesting feud for a few months, maybe.
Yeah,
possibly.
But that, like, I love Breezango, and they're going to get completely buried by Alpha if that feud happens.
See, maybe that's the...
I could see Breezango versus the Usos being entertaining.
Right.
I could see Breezango versus the Vaudevillains being entertaining if you want to turn Breezango face.
Right.
But Breezango versus American Alpha, that's like John Cena versus Zack Ryder.
Honestly, dude, and I can't believe I'm saying this, but since we're talking about foils and, the need to be stuff, if there was ever a time to really take an interest and build back up the Ascension, now seems to be almost the time. Because,
oh my God. And that's the thing, too. The Ascension even got drafted before the Vaudevillains and Breezango.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Oh, SmackDown's so bad.
Dude, I don't know what you do. Like, to me, here are the...
I'll tell you what you do. You curl up into a ball, and you lie down, and you try not to cry, and then you cry.
I almost want to end the recording there. Why should we give anybody any hope? I will say though, like, first of all, I agree with you completely what you said a bit ago in the podcast. Like
About
you,
trying not to cry and then crying anyway.
no, you just said that. That's why I said a bit ago, but I do agree with that too. I mean, you're not wrong. Just no, you really do make SmackDown the Bray Wyatt show to me. I don't think they will. I'm just saying
It almost has to be. Like,
right.
he's the most interesting thing on the roster.
Me personally, when it comes to tag teams, I was serious about building up the Ascension again and making them feel legit because I think they still have a cool look. They just need the wins and the credibility, and they've just never had that since they walked in the door. Breezango could be a lot of fun, and I would actually enjoy them feuding with the Usos. Eva Marie, maybe we start her out with a feud with Carmella. That I don't want to say that they're both at the same level. Obviously, they're not. But in terms of
so then we're going to kind of leave Bliss to flounder.
Alexa does deserve better.
Are we going to do Bliss versus Naomi and turn Naomi face?
You know what? That'd be a good idea. We haven't seen Naomi in a while. If you have her return as a babyface, her and Alexa could have some interesting matches, which would leave, unfortunately, Becky with Natalya. But it makes the most sense narratively because they're already in a program, so you have that carryover appeal.
Here we are acting like there's going to be more than one women's storyline going on at a time. That's
I'm trying, dude. I'm trying, which is more than what WWE clearly did. You made the biggest, and I'm sorry, I almost have to go into rant territory, which surprised me.
No, go.
Ranting. No, you make the biggest fucking deal. The biggest deal about SmackDown going live. You even have the New Day take part in a commercial that admittedly was clever because, of course, it's the New Day and they're fucking awesome, which is why they're not on this shit show. And yeah. I think about Sasha Banks too, like, oh, I'd love to be drafted to SmackDown because my hero, Eddie Guerrero. Yeah, remember when Eddie was a part of the great SmackDown? I fucking do too. And she's probably looking at it now and thinking, oh, I dodged a fucking bullet, which she should because she's a boss. And you promote it.
Becky, though.
But no, Becky, and here's the thing too, right? Because all these heels want to cut promos about, oh, well, Becky's the weakest, and Becky has no friends, and all these people are doing things for her. And I don't want to believe it, because Becky's a sweetheart, and she has all the ability in the world, but then you see it. You see it, and they're like, wow, Becky is in such shit shape. She is a part of this fucking show, which, to get back to the central theme of the rant, how dare you insult mine, Ashton's, and everybody else's intelligence to be hyped for this shit. I mean, we're just talking about, oh, SmackDown's getting its own shows. We're going to cover that now. We're going to give it all this coverage. And you're really thinking best foot forward, right? Because what's competition without putting your best foot forward? And this is the roster. And you know what? You know what's so disgusting about all of it? About all of it is that I'm not even whining because you didn't go with my vision of all the young guys on there. I don't mind that. I don't. But the young guys and the guys I was excited about that you do have on there, mainly Apollo Crews and Baron Corbin, I weep for those men now. Because even if they win the world title, what are they? I'll tell you what they are if they win that world title. They're still a minnow in a fucking stream when they could be sharks. You shafted all of these fucking people. You shafted me. You shafted everybody. And you should be fucking ashamed of yourselves. What the fuck even is this? Like, this wasn't a draft. This is a massacre. Raw is over there laughing, and they shouldn't be because, well, maybe they should because they're the fucking heels. And Daniel Bryan, you know, the underdog, and he said SmackDown was going to be the underdog show. Bryan, you should have quoted Paul Heyman. That wasn't a prediction. That was a spoiler. That was a fucking spoiler you gave out. You didn't even let us know it. What is this hatchet job of a show? Jesus. I don't even know what you do. Like, you and I were just on here. What tag team feuds do we do? What women's feuds do we do? And again, I asked the question, where the fuck is the exclusivity? Because Raw's got the women. Raw's got the tag teams. Raw has the cruiserweights. What defines SmackDown? What do I look forward to when I'm like, okay, you know, Raw's done. It was Monday. We did Raw 12, but I'm really hyped for SmackDown. Maybe literally hype Mojo Rawley, which I still can't even believe he got fucking drafted. Are you kidding me? Like, I don't even want to go into that again because I'm going to scar myself all over again. SmackDown, as Ashton has said, so it's not original, he said it right at the start of the show, has no identity. And this is the most pitiful existential crisis I've ever seen. And I'm a philosopher, for fuck's sake. I've seen all of them, and this is the fucking worst. Oh my God. I don't even know what they do. I don't know what they do. Like, it's so bad. I mean, do you have anything, like, I know you were really pissed about this draft. Do you have anything you want to add?
You know, the more I look at it, Wow, John.
I'm sorry. I was just waiting for you to be like, the more I look at it, and just continue, please.
The more I look at it, the more this draft really does feel like a rib on everyone that got drafted to SmackDown.
And there it is. There it is.
This draft feels like the Raw writers wanting to streamline their show and get fewer people bitching about them not pushing certain people so that they could push who they want, so that they could create the stories that they want, so that they could have the talents that they want and do with them what they want, and really, in their eyes, trim the fat and put that fat on SmackDown.
Dude,
I'm not joking. Dean Ambrose is the perfect example. Nobody, I guarantee you, Vince, the writers, they didn't want Ambrose to be the guy, but that's what everyone in their right mind is saying needs to happen right now. He's, Seth Rollins has the dick pic controversy. Roman has the testosterone and the steroids controversy with the suspension and everything. Dean Ambrose is literally the only member of the Shield that can be a clean representative for your company. And Vince doesn't want to hear that, so he put him on SmackDown. AJ Styles, a former TNA guy, an indie guy, somebody that dirt sheets are now saying Vince sees a lot in. If Vince saw a lot in AJ Styles, he'd be on Raw.
That laugh, though, that should have been the whole, review
John
of this
Cena.
draft.
I'm not done. John Cena. John Cena is a guy who is literally preparing his exit plan in the WWE right now.
Yes.
He is reaching out to other outlets. He is working more outside the WWE now than ever because if I had to guess, he probably knows Vince is selling and he wants an exit strategy. Randy Orton. Randy Orton is the guy who is one violation away from being fired.
Yeah.
WWE doesn't want to run that risk on Raw, so they just shove him on SmackDown. Bray Wyatt, I've even been saying it in this commentary. Bray Wyatt is somebody that the WWE needs to push to the moon, but for some reason or another, they just refuse to say, yeah, sure, let's do it. They just will not give Bray Wyatt anything, and they're probably sick and tired of hearing people like me bitching about it, so they just put him on SmackDown, put him with the Island of Misfit Toys over on SmackDown. Same goes for Becky Lynch. Becky Lynch is somebody that has massive fan support, but WWE, the corporate machine, doesn't want to do anything with.
Oh my God! Everybody.
It legitimately does, and I feel like American Alpha fits in that category too, because Gable is super tiny. He's like 5'7", and Jordan has no charisma whatsoever. So they're never going to do anything with them major. So let's just put them on SmackDown where the fans can cheer for them.
Right.
Ziggler has always been that way. Natalya has always been that way. Quite frankly, I'm surprised Del Rio is on SmackDown and not Raw. But maybe they just did that to split him and Paige up, and they see Paige as more valuable than him, so they kept her on Raw instead of him.
Yeah, I'm telling you, I wasn't even joking. I don't know if I said this to you in conversation or if it made it onto live reactions. They were probably looking and thinking about, how old Paige is, how old Del Rio is, and it's no, that could be a bad influence or whatever. That could be bad for Paige, so let's just, keep her nose clean. And you bringing up Dean Ambrose, that reminds me, thank you. Fuck you guys again, because the only guy to really keep his nose clean, to keep his head up, to really be the consummate professional, you stick on this crap? Are you fucking serious? Dude,
I feel like there is going to be one of two things that happens. Either A, SmackDown is going to be absolute hot garbage because nobody is going to care about it. Everybody's going to see it as the second-rate show, and they're going to treat it like it.
Right.
Or B, guys like Ambrose and Styles and Cena and Orton and Wyatt and Alpha and Ziggler are going to get together, and they're going to say, we are the B show. They want us to be the B show. Let's go out there and kick their asses and prove that we're not. And they are going to do everything in their power to make SmackDown great again.
And I hope that happens. Look, as far as the people on there as individuals, I know that's a hardworking group. I'm sure the writers, I would hope anyway, hardworking group.
And dude, if anybody could turn an entire brand around by himself, it's Cena.
Right.
He's already done it.
Yeah.
He's already done it with SmackDown.
Right. But man,
you put him on a show with motivated people like Ambrose and Styles and Wyatt.
Yeah.
If they get any kind of an opportunity, if their writing team does anything but intentionally screw them over, they're going to be pissed off and they're going to make some amazing television because of it.
Right. I
think the leaders of that locker room are gonna stir some shit up.
They better. Because it's needed. It is really needed right now.
Because if you look on Raw, there are no real locker room leaders at all.
Right.
Jericho is pretty much the only one.
Right.
Rollins isn't really a locker room leader.
Right.
Charlotte definitely isn't.
Right.
Balor maybe, but he's new, so they're not going to really view him as a leader yet.
Right.
Reigns most definitely is not a locker room.
Not after the shit he pulled.
No. Lesnar isn't even in the locker room. He has his own locker room that's private, 500 feet away with multiple locks and bodyguards.
Yeah.
New Day maybe, but they're not a single entity, so it's kind of, how much of a. My point, maybe Big Show would be like a locker room leader on that end.
Right.
But that's like, he was like the 23rd pick.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I feel like SmackDown has much stronger leadership than Raw, but that's only going to go as far as the writers allow it.
Exactly. Dude, I don't know.
SmackDown also has Kane, and Kane is one smart son of a bitch.
Yeah. I mean, I look at the SmackDown roster, and it almost makes me want to believe that, in this instance, hard work just isn't going to be enough, which is a bitter pill to fucking swallow. But, god damn, do they have their work cut out for them. I don't know, dude. Is it possible? As they say, anything's possible in the WWE, but this is going to be difficult. This is going to be really difficult to make work. I don't even know. And see, what's bad about it on the Raw side, because on paper you could be really excited and be like, oh man, they got all these guys. But you noted the crux of the problem earlier. They're going to be lazy about it. I see this show totally going on autopilot with the quality of talent you have. And we've seen Raw on autopilot. And it's not a good thing most of the time. So, I don't know, dude. I mean, do you have any other thoughts you want to share? Because I almost feel like I'm tapped out. I don't really know if there's anything else I could say. I'm just so exasperated by all this, man.
Yeah, I'm exhausted just thinking about how bad this is going to be going forward. So, John, this is technically TWitWoW, so if you want to close this out.
Yeah, I mean, guys, I hope you enjoyed my rant. I just really feel sorry for that SmackDown locker room. I mean, you got good people. And Ashton, I can't believe that I overlooked this guy in my rant, and you brought it home. Dean Ambrose, who has worked so hard and is so over. You're sticking him here when he really is the best of the Shield in terms of personal record in that locker room. I mean, I love you, Seth, but that dick pic wasn't a good look, my man. I don't know. I don't know.
I saw there was an amazing singular comment on an otherwise crappy Reddit thread earlier about Seth Rollins, and I just want to read it out loud for everyone to hear. Because because it's like a Ric Flair kind of thing, because Ric Flair does the jet flying, limousine ride and all that stuff. Seth, where is it? Here we go. Seth Rollins, the dick picking, Nazi dickin', main event taken, woo, Sting breaking, long haired son of a gun.
Wow.
Yeah, let's not forget he dated a Nazi.
Oh, I didn't even know that part. Jesus.
Zara Schreiber woman.
Right.
Had like old tweets that were extremely racist, and she has a swastika tattooed on her somewhere.
Oh boy.
So
yeah, Seth, that's really not a good look, Seth.
And he cheated on his girlfriend or his wife or something like that with her.
Right.
Yeah.
Damn. Damn, Seth.
Seth is definitely doesn't necessarily have a clean record, unfortunately.
I mean, I love and respect scumbags, but Seth, you might have gone even too far for me. Wow. I'm going to have to revisit our relationship. But yeah, man, I mean, just to bring it all back, though, it just reinforces the original point. Dean Ambrose got screwed here. Like, what kind of message does that send? Oh, Dean, you've worked so hard. You've pissed clean all this time. You haven't been a part of any controversies. You've got a wonderful relationship with Renee that you keep private and, no shenanigans there. We want to reward you, Dean. Am I finally going to be the face of the company? No, don't be stupid. You're going to be on Smackdown. Oh. And that's pretty much that. You screwed the guy over. I don't even know what to say about that, but I do know what to say here. This has been the first of potentially many excruciating live SmackDowns that remains to be seen, and our draft discussion. This has been TWitWoW, the best wrestling podcast made for wrestling fans, by wrestling fans, on the web today. I'm John. That's my co-host and commentary, Ashton. Guys, comment and subscribe on YouTube. Ashton, what question do you have for our subscribers just about this draft, man?
Find silver linings, please. Send them to us. Make us happy.
I know. Guys, really, that's actually a good question. Like, how would you deal with SmackDown? I want to know, because there's got to be some Dr. Frankenstein in the comments that's looking at this island of misfit toys and is rubbing their hands together with glee like it's Christmas morn.
I feel like literally 3 individuals could make SmackDown amazing right now.
Which is?
Nakamura, Joe, Dillinger. You add those 3 guys to this SmackDown roster, and all of a sudden this SmackDown roster looks amazing.
Yeah, I mean, dude, honestly, I'm glad you brought that up, because one final point before I round us out. Any NXT call-ups now, I almost feel like it's imperative they go to SmackDown. Because, I mean, 1, SmackDown needs it, and 2, if you look at the talents individually, not saying Nakamura would get overshadowed on Raw, but they'll be kings of the place pretty easily.
Oh my god, yes.
I mean, very easily.
Especially with Nakamura, like, he could be a king even on Raw, but on SmackDown, yeah, he's running that joint within a week.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, guys, talk to us. There's got to be a Dr. Frankenstein in the comments somewhere. I know where you are. Come on now, talk to us. And you already know what other stuff to check out. Guys, we are going to bounce back in a major way tomorrow, because it is Ultima Lucha Dos, the finale, live reactions. We're going to do a TWitWoW, but then it's going to be a Lucha Roundtable, Lucha Click. It's going to be TWitWoW, the last real heels, and add the Lady J of Facelock Feministas, who will know that my opinions reign supreme. It is gonna be amazing. You know you want to be there. We're gonna bounce back from this. We're gonna get through it together. And until then, tune in and peace out.